Hi,
Hello,
I'm Claire.
my name's Elijah.
Nice to meet you, Elijah. Have a seat, if you will. Okay, so from what I heard, you are experiencing some issues maybe involving some alcohol. Tell me a little bit more about what that means for you and what that looks like.
Well, it all started with drinking a while back. I actually got a DUI recently, so I have a trial coming up, and they suggested counseling would be the best way to try to alleviate the situation, so I
Okay.
wouldn't have a higher sentence.
Okay, and you said you have a court date coming up. When is that for you?
It's within the next month, but they said going through the counseling would probably make it better for the situation.
Okay, and so it seems like you have had a past with alcohol. Will you take me back a little bit and kind of walk me through that?
Yeah, it started when I was young. My dad used to drink a whole lot, and he was very abusive to me and my brother Tommy. We would just sit around the house sometimes, and he'd come in late at night, and he'd be verbally abusive to my mom. He'd strike her, and we've seen a lot. So I just started coping with it over time, and it was like the best thing for me at the moment because I was just used to seeing it all the time.
hmm And when you say you would cope with it, how would you do that?
Well, it started when I was about 16 because my brother Tommy, he's 14, he's younger. So I'd always make sure he was okay. But I'd be so stressed out because my mom would be afraid to even do anything about the situation because he was the bread holder. He was the one that was actually making the money and helping out the family. So I started hanging out with a lot of my friends. I'm actually still friends with them now. And we would always go to parties and whatnot. And it started that we would drink every now and then, but then after the feel good of it, I realized when I drank, I didn't think about my dad. I didn't think about anything bad going on, and it felt good. And it was normal at first, but then over time, I started feeling sluggish and whatnot, but it was the only thing I felt like was like the proper way to cope with the situation.
hmm So you kind of did it so that you could forget about your dad and kind of get into a space where you felt like you could leave all
Yeah.
that behind.
Because at 16, I was just now getting a job. I was trying to save up money for a car. I was already stressed out as it was. I had to make sure my little brother was okay. So it was just a rough time for me. Things worked out, but lately, a lot of things have been coming back around for me.
hmm
And when I was younger, when he would beat us, he would actually say he'd beat the brakes off of us, which would always scare us every single time.
Okay, so when you say he would beat the brakes off you, what does that mean?
Basically, it comes down to he would physically abuse us. He would hit us almost any chance he had. He would always blame the next day when he was sober that the alcohol was the reason, but he didn't mean to, and he still loved us. And him being our dad, me and Tommy, we just went with it because there wasn't really anything else we could do. We didn't want to tell anybody because we were in a rough situation. My mom, as I said, needed help from my dad, so if we said anything to reported it, my mom may be even upset at us because then maybe we wouldn't even have a place to stay.
hmm
So I was just in a situation that I couldn't do anything about it. So drinking just helped it.
hmm So you said this was when you were about 16
Mhm.
and you're 20 now.
Mhm.
So where does that leave you and Tommy at this point?
Well, Tommy, he's off. He's going to college soon, so he's been all right, and I'm glad that he hasn't went through the steps that I went through with DUI and everything. He's doing well. But for me, I personally, I'm not sure if I would consider myself an alcoholic, but I do realize there is something going on because I'm actually married already, and my wife has been noticing, I guess, signs that it seems like maybe I have a drinking problem.
hmm
But I think going out to the bar with my friends from high school, I don't think it's a big deal. I have a little drink every now and then. I'll admit I come home drunk from time to time, but I mean, it's rough. I wouldn't say I verbally abuse anybody, but I've done mistakes. I've had mistakes, but I don't think it's to the point where my dad was. So I guess that's the reason why I wouldn't consider myself an alcoholic.
hmm And you said now with your DUI, they have suggested counseling. So what do you want to get out of these counseling sessions?
Well, I want more than what I've had before. I mean, I went to Alcohol Anonymous, but it didn't seem like it worked much because everybody around, it just seemed like a session of everybody either having a pity party or being there because they had to be there.
Okay.
I actually was sentenced to like a 6-week special driving program after DUI. And honestly, I felt like it was a waste of time. I didn't think that I needed to go there. I felt like I knew what happened. I knew what I was doing. So, I mean, I took responsibility for what I did, of course, but I mean, I just feel like 6 weeks, it was 6 weeks wasted. That's how I felt.
I think that it's really good that you are taking responsibility and you do know kind of the steps that you want to take. So with that, what kind of, if you didn't see maybe an outcome that you were hoping for from that 6-week program or different things like that, what kind of goals or outcomes do you hope to see from this that we can work towards together?
Well, I want to see something along the lines of, a lot of people, they usually just seem like they're just doing what they need to do to help rather than actually caring. I feel like steps with my marriage as well, it would help out. I feel like I need maybe counseling as well with my wife to see how she feels, because I've talked to her, but I guess I don't really comprehend everything that's happened, because I'll admit I've hit rock bottom at this point. I have a trial actually. The first time I got a DUI when I was young, when I was 18, of course still underage, I had to pay a fine. That was it. It was a lot of fines, but I didn't go to jail. I was there for like a few hours, but that was it. But now this trial, after knowing that I may be, actually going to jail for a decent amount of time, I think this is the time that I'm actually ready to make plans and just go along with counseling and just feeling like, and you seem like you've been helping out with me very well. You've been talking to me fine, and I feel like I feel I'm in a safe environment to disclose all this information.
Awesome. Yeah, and when we get all that information disclosed, and that's really really awesome that you feel like you can open up, because then that'll help us be on the same page with each other, and be able to understand and collaborate with each other, to think of a solution and to think of different goals that can help us lead to the place where you want to go, and take that step by step, and really to be able to kind of tackle the issue that we have at hand. And even like you said, maybe you want to go further counseling with your marriage, with your wife, so that you can better comprehend what she's saying, and so that you guys can get on the same page as well. And that's definitely something that we can work towards. When we're done with our counseling session, I can help refer you and find somewhere to go with your marriage counseling, and things like that, so that we can get on the same page and get you to where you want to go. Sound good? All right, perfect. Thanks for meeting with me. I'll see you next week, okay?
See you.